You and I will love this time of year, this period between Thanksgiving and Christmas. That's why. There's something magical about it. Even the world kind of knows about it. Even the people that are more interested in putting out Frosty the Snowman and reindeer and Santa and all those things and lights. The people that don't even know what Advent means, that the thing that the whole season is just like a few weeks of celebrating Christmas, even they know that there's something special, something wonderful about this time of the year. And if they know that, certainly you know, because you know the reason for the season. And yet, within this magical time, within our celebrations, there's uncertainties and potential problems. Now, they might not sound significant. For example, am I going to get the gift that I want? Now, that might be something a child would be worried about. But you adults, you know that feeling as well. Will I truly like it, or am I going to feign excitement? And as you shop for the gifts that you're going to give, are you sure the other people that you're going to give to going to be excited? Are they going to get what they want? How am I going to pay for all that stuff that they want and I want? Because come the end of the season, the magic is gone. There's no more Christmas music on the radio. And the bills appear in your inbox and you have to pay for all that stuff. Of course, it's not about the money and the gifts, right? It's about that quality time spent with your family. Now, how's that going to pan out? Some of you this time of year might feel the pain of separation. That's amplified by the holidays. You might not have your loved ones like you used to. Maybe temporarily. Maybe they have their priorities, live someplace else. Or maybe they're gone. And it's a permanent void. On the flip side of that, you might have another problem. Maybe your children, grandchildren bringing in significant others that will be joining you this year. And there's apparently, you're supposed to, when you take family pictures, you're not supposed to put them in the middle, right? You're supposed to put them on the side so you can crop them out come next year. So, that's kind of awkward, isn't it? So, now this might seem funny and petty, right? But it's real. And those concerns and those potential problems, they just pile up. Why? It just underlines this basic principle that Advent or Christmas doesn't matter. We can't predict the future. We cannot control the outcomes. We cannot foresee how things are going to happen. And the sum total of that weighs us down. And it can fill you with dread. Yet the good news of Advent is that our days of anxiety are numbered. The birth of Christ and his coming return means that it's an era of peace that we live in, which will have no end. It has come. And it's that kind of peace that surpasses all understanding and erases all kinds of fears. And while this peace will not be completely realized until Christ comes back, it is nonetheless a peace that is available to you today. I don't know what you fear, but chances are, at the top of that list is the fear of the future. The details of tomorrow are not known to us. And this uncertainty stirs up anxiety if we let it sit in us for too long. Pretty soon we realize that it's not up to us. Just because we make the right choices right now doesn't guarantee that it's going to bring about a specific outcome or protect us against particular setbacks or even tragedies. We lack control. And there's nothing more that we fear than not being in control. Psalm 112 that you just heard is focused on the future. The man who wrote it, likely King David, he looks into the unknown and he offers this bold prediction about what's in store for God's people. And his take on the future is glowing. He says, your household will be filled with blessings. Your heart will be overflowing with grace and mercy for others. And your hands will be eager to show generosity. You will be unmoved by the evils of this world, and you'll be satisfied with the mercies of God, with the things of God. Even bad news, you will not even fear that. And our hearts will be without anxiety over the unknown. He says that you will be steadfast, trusting in the Lord. And let that sink in. David says that in the future, we will not only enjoy material blessings and spiritual maturity, but we will have that unshakable, eternal peace. Can you imagine not even having the slightest ounce of fear over bad news? Can you imagine your phone ringing in the middle of the night and it just doesn't faze you? How can David speak with such joyful certainty about tomorrow? What does he know that we don't know? What is the key that he holds that the rest of us lack? You might have heard this before, and I'm going to repeat it to you again because this comes up again and again when we look at the Old Testament. But in the Jewish Old Testament understanding, the future is always behind you, and the past is in front of you. The Hebrew word for in front of is the same word as past. And the word for behind is the basis of the word for future. So if you were to ask Abraham or David where the future was, they would point behind them. Likewise, ask them where the past is, and they would point in front of them. Kind of backward from the way that we think, where for us time is a timeline. The past is in the past, behind us. The future is ahead of us. But just listen why they looked at it differently. And it will make sense to you. You have seen the past, but you cannot see the future. You know what happened in the past. It's done. It is finished. It's laid out before your eyes. Looking back, hindsight is 2020. And what can you see 2020? Whatever is what? Not what's behind you, but in front of you. So the past is actually in front of our eyes because we can see it. The future, on the other hand, is not visible. We don't know what the future holds. We cannot see it. It's hidden from our eyes. It's behind us. So in the Hebrew, in the Jewish conception of time, you might say we're always walking backward into the future. So walking backward, just prior to Psalm 112, in the preceding Psalm 111, David recounts in broad strokes the history of God's goodness to his chosen people. God has provided for us everything from our daily provisions of our most basic needs to our spiritual sustenance through his word, to ultimate redemption from slavery in Egypt and from the hand of every other foe that we've faced. And looking at what God has done, David can't help but declare, "Great are the works of the Lord. Holy and awesome is his name." This reverence, this deep respect for the Lord is what propels David into the bold predictions we just heard in Psalm 112 and his confident take on tomorrow. It is his fear of the Lord, grounded in God's work in the past, that erases David's fear of the future. Remember, for David, the way forward is backward. So heading into the future with confidence, with peace, and with joy, despite all the unknowns, for him, it begins by looking backward at the settled history, something that is objective. And what it is God's goodness. So the way forward is backward. The answer to our fears of tomorrow is fear of the Lord today. It is respect and awe for all the stuff that he has done in your past. How? How has he blessed you in the past? Something to reflect on. This Christmas, remember how God came to earth for you, to love you, to sacrifice himself for you, to lay claim to you, and to guarantee a glorious future for you. Just how often do you think about future? How many countless hours do you ponder the possibilities and play out in your head the worst case scenarios? Do you ever have trouble falling asleep thinking about the future? Or maybe wake up in the middle of the night worrying about the future? Does it help you? Does it somehow prepare you for the future? No. The only thing worrying about tomorrow will bring about is ruin your today. That doesn't mean that you shouldn't prepare for the future. But remember, we cannot control the future. And what David reminds us in this psalm, and all the psalms really, is that the best way to prepare for us for the future is to ground, to anchor ourselves in God's goodness in the past. so that the unchangeable truths of God's activities of yesterday might fill you with peace today and confidence about tomorrow. So what if you choose to refrain from concentrating on the future? What if you choose to see the stuff that you do this Advent season, including the decorations and the shopping and the cooking and even church services, as a means of looking back all the way to Bethlehem, a way of filling today with God's goodness of the past to carry you into tomorrow? What if this Advent, with all the activities that it entails, you use it as an act of investing in how you'll see the future? Long after the tree is gone and the decorations are put out and Christmas music is gone from your radio. This Advent, we will look back at the events of Bethlehem with awe and joy, so that we can look ahead when the holidays are over with lasting peace and enduring hope, because we will be assured that surely this God, who has done such a marvelous thing in our past, sending his Son to live with us and to die for us, he can certainly be trusted with our future. God's work in the past opens up the future for us. And it's all connected here and now. Because the Lord has sent me in the present with his exact promises. All God's work in the past and in the future is yours right now, in the present. Life is filled with things we cannot possibly predict. But take heart. Our days of being anxious about the unknown are numbered. We have peace as we face the future. The God who has shown his power in the past also holds tomorrow in his hands. This God who arrived in the flesh for you at Christmas is coming again for you in the end. And he will be with you and reign over you every moment in between. So this Advent season, fix your eyes on what he has done and have no fear of what's to come. Amen.